I'm gonna start over. Whoops, man overboard.
Your arm is right in there.
I did it again. I put the lid on backwards. Okay, for real. Definitely use a half a cup and measure it. Or half a teaspoon and measure it. I use just 2 cloves. Let me double check that. It is gonna take forever for me to get that with this grinder. Sorry. Today we are going to be making Caesar Lovers salad dressing. And Caesar salad is one of my all-time favorite foods. And so I want to show you today how I make my Caesar salad dressing. So we are going to be using shallots, Parmesan cheese, anchovies, lemon, and we will use a raw egg yolk. But if you're not comfortable, you can leave it out. Your dressing might not be as thick, but that's okay. And then obviously some olive oil and salt and pepper. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm gonna go ahead and shred my Parmesan cheese first and then set it off to the side and we'll go from there. Of it in every bite. Cheese is the way to go by getting really good Okay, so we've got our Parmesan cheese grated and I'm just gonna set this off to the side and we are going to get going on making the dressing. So I use a little mini food processor. This thing is awesome for little projects like this where you don't want to lug out your massive food processor. We got this as a wedding gift and I've used it so many times. So I'm going to be using this. I know you can also use an immersion blender. I've seen recipes where you can use a blender. I did try this once in my blender and it did not work. It is a major waste of ingredients. So I'm going back to my trusty little food processor here and I'll try that again sometime, but for now, no go for me. So I'm gonna start with some shallot. All right, so we are gonna use a half of a shallot. So I'm just peeling the skin off of the shallot. All right, and then I leave the end of it on there. It helps me to dice it. You actually really don't need to be very exact when dicing this because it's just gonna get chopped in the food processor. So really a rough chop is fine. All right, so all of this is gonna go into our food processor. And I just remembered that we forgot a very important ingredient in Caesar salad dressing, and that is garlic. So I use 2 cloves of garlic in my Caesar salad dressing, and these are kind of small. So if your garlic cloves are really big, you might only want to use 1. And if you're not a major fan of garlic, maybe you only want to use 1 small one. But for me, it is a imperative flavor in Caesar salad dressing, so I go with 2. Next, I'm going to take the zest of the lemon and also the juice of the lemon. The last thing we need to add in here before we go to the next step is our anchovies. I've got some anchovies in olive oil here, and I am going to use about 4 of them. So I pull them out. Anchovies add the most awesome, salty, rich, savory bite to your dressing. Okay, so I forgot another ingredient, which I do very commonly, but I've caught it before it's too late. The last thing we need to add is actually the egg yolk. So let's go ahead and do that. It's time to puree this up and get our dressing going here. So for this part, I just want to get everything chopped up and almost pureed. Do you want to get a close up of this? Or you good?
Yeah, I mean this
is good?
Fine right there.
Okay.
Hold on.
This is the one that I thought I broke, remember? Oh, this is why. Because I'm a dumb. Because I'm a dumb. Okay, so it's pretty much all liquefied at this point. So I use a half a cup of olive oil. Okay, with this little mini food processor here, I've got two little holes in the top, which are probably more for air to come out, but I actually use these to help me as I'm drizzling in my olive oil. Because when you drizzle in the olive oil at this point, it's very important that you do it with a really slow stream. If you go too fast, it won't emulsify and you'll be left with that kind of separate water and oil. So by going really slowly, the olive oil will have a chance to emulsify into the dressing and make that really creamy, thick consistency that we're looking for. Okay, cross your fingers. Let's see if it's nice and thick. Ooh, it is. We did it. All right, so let me grab a bigger container here. So as I pull this out, you can see that our dressing got nice and thick. Okay, so let's dump the rest of this dressing in. Our last step is to add the Parmesan, salt, and pepper. And we grated this up earlier. So I'm just gonna dump it all in there. And then I have a half a teaspoon of salt. And that is actually really important. I've made this dressing before and gotten better at tasting my stuff as I'm making it. And the addition of the half a teaspoon of salt really makes a difference as to whether or not this dressing just pops with flavor or it's like kind of bland. And then I use a half a teaspoon of pepper as well. Okay, now we stir it all in. Look at that. Looks so good. Okay, so we're pretty much done. I'm gonna just give it a quick taste and make sure that everything is as it should be. I love Caesar salad. All right, guess what I'm having for dinner tonight? Something with this. Hope you enjoyed. Go make some Caesar salad dressing.